And I think when you make wheeling easier on yourself and you don't arbitrarily make it harder because whatever stupid reason you decide to do that, you're gonna get better a lot quicker. You can do all these things, and these things will totally help you and help you have an easier time, you know, feeling confident dropping back, or feeling confident popping the clutch, or just being able to do it smoother. But at the end of the day, it really is just speed time. All right. Good morning, ladies, gentlemen, fellas, everybody. We are on our way to work right now. It's some 42 degrees outside right now, I think. So not bad at all. I wanted to make a video just kind of talking about stunt riding again, because the last one I did kind of well. And I guess maybe not stunt riding, but more so just wheelies and tricks in general, as far as being a better rider. One thing I see a good bit of, at least, you know, sometimes on TikTok or whatever the fuck it is like, oh, you know, here's things that you can do to your bike to make it easier to wheelie. And there are certainly some things that you can definitely do that with, right? But I think it really all comes down to being a better rider in general. I don't think you can necessarily just slap something on your bike like wheelie mode, you know, even though some of the new leader bikes and super sports have that. But I wanted to give kind of my list of things that might make your journey of learning how to wheelie a little bit easier, a little bit more streamlined, and maybe even a little bit safer. Keep in mind, this is all kind of dependent on your bike. You know, if you have a super torquey bike already, you might not need to do some of these things. If you don't have a super torquey bike, you might kind of have to do some of these things to, you know, make wheeling even feasible, you know, at a slow speed or past balance point, stuff like that. Absolutely, you can do certain things if you have a decent amount of skill, you know, without these parts, but it just makes life a lot easier for sure to have them. I think first thing up on that list is going to be sprockets. If you have a bigger sprocket, the reason why you see stunt bikes with just absolutely massive sprockets is because it is significantly easier to not only just pop your bike up, but control it while you're in a wheelie if you have a bigger sprocket, right? The reason being, it makes it a lot torqueier. Instead of having to rip your throttle all the way up to 8, 9, 10 grand or whatever to get it to pop up quick where you want it to, you know, having a bigger sprocket means that you can do that at a much lower RPM. Generally, that makes it a lot safer too. Not always, but less throttle for more response. You can have better control of it. So getting a sprocket is probably the number one thing that'll make it a lot easier to learn tricks. And I will say sometimes that can be kind of a detriment. For me, I had an FZ07 when I was learning how to wheelie. I put like a pretty big sprocket on it. I think it was like a 59 or a 60 on an FZ07. For learning, you don't really need something that big. That bike is already plenty torquey, so throwing a sprocket that was that massive on it just made it kind of significantly harder because I was so much more worried about looping or throwing myself back too far, stuff like that. But something like this, you know, having a bigger sprocket would be really nice because I have to get so high up in the RPMs to really hit my torque and hit that power band. So, and I'd like to not be that high if I don't have to be, you know. This one's pretty easy. I don't want to say it's a mod to make it easier to wheelie. Make it safer for your bike at least. Easily going to be a cage. So you have a cage, you loop your shit, you pancake it, whatever you do, the bike's going to be at least somewhat alright. You might crack your fairings a little bit, you might scuff your case depending on the cage and how good it is, but it's going to make your life a lot easier when those things do happen. So that one's definitely got to be up there. The other one for me, I don't know if this is just kind of a personal thing, but I found it so much easier, not only just a wheelie, but riding in general when you have a short clutch. This bike doesn't, or not a short clutch, but a short clutch lever. Big hauls. We got 2 semis. Dude, I think I have a fucking bloody nose right now under my gator. It's really, really not cool. So a short clutch, if you see like an RSC trigger finger or the Impact Tech clutch levers, stuff like that, what that does is it makes the pulling of the clutch a lot lighter. So I think it's on average like 30%. Making it lighter means that you can pop it more. Generally with those things, it's also a little bit easier to adjust them. I guess not in the sense of pushing the lever in and out, but having just more control over where your clutch really starts to engage. And it's kind of nice only needing to use one finger. I don't gotta use 2 or 3, and my clutch is a lot lighter. So if you're doing circle wheelies or something like that, you ever get to that point, which I'm nowhere near, but being able to really modulate your clutch well without wearing out your forearms is kind of important. Next one is definitely brakes for sure, and this one you could argue is honestly number 1 just based on the safety factor. You want to be safe in a wheelie. You want to be able to hit your foot brake and it'll reliably bring you down every time. You won't keep getting brake fade and whatnot. So having steel braided brake lines is very, very important. If you have just your normal OEM rubber ones, those have a tendency to expand the fluid inside, let it heat up a lot, and when that happens it doesn't respond as quickly as you need it to. And then on top of that, if you mix it with something like RBF 600, 660, 700 now, those things have a higher higher heat rating essentially, so you can use them a lot more and not have to worry about the brake fluid boiling. And again, that one doesn't necessarily make it easier to pop the clutch and drop back to balance point, but it keeps you safe when you need to bring it down, right? And that's honestly the most important thing. One thing that I honestly didn't know I needed until I tried it was having a seat that really locks you in. So grippy seat covers, even something as simple as having like gas tank grips or grip tape on your gas tank so that you can really squeeze the tank and lock in, makes a world of difference. And especially if you have like a Bella stunt seat or something along those lines that has an extension on the passenger seat that'll basically just shorten your normal riding seat, it kind of hooks you into the bike so you don't feel like you're falling off when you start to drop it back. That was kind of a quality of life thing that I didn't know I needed until I tried it. It made a huge difference. This is another kind of small thing, but if you have a super sport like this, cutting your windscreen can also make a lot of difference. Not only because if you're throwing your legs, you know, up and over the gauge cluster and whatnot, doing 50-50s or high chairs, spreaders, you know, you don't have to worry about smacking into this, but also it makes it easier to see. When you cut this down and you're just doing like dedicated slow speed stuff, you don't have to fucking look through your windscreen. You don't have to have that like warp in your perception. Another quality of life kind of thing that makes it just a little bit easier. And I think when you make wheeling easier on yourself and you don't arbitrarily make it harder because whatever stupid fucking reason you decide to do that, you're gonna get better a lot quicker. Now I could also throw in maybe something like suspension. Sometimes if you have like a bouncier suspension on the back, some people find that easier to wheelie, some people find it a lot harder. That's why there's things like a saggy ass fix for the F4Is and the FZ07s. But that's more so kind of a ride height thing. How tall do you want the bike to sit, rather than actually adjusting your spring rating. And honestly, like, you can do all these things, and these things will totally help you and help you have an easier time, you know, feeling confident dropping back, or feeling confident popping the clutch, or just being able to do it smoother. But at the end of the day, it really is just seat time. To be honest, that's kind of all the big ones I can really think of off the top of my head. course, there's other smaller things that you can do. There's always smaller things that you can do, or maintenance items like having a better fuel pump or doing a clean air mod, stuff like that. That's good for the health of the bike. But as far as just having a easier time doing it, I mean, those are kind of the top things I can think of. So if you're learning how to wheelie and you don't really know where to go, and maybe you want to spruce it up a little bit, you've already kind of, you can kind of see balance point a little bit, you're getting close to it, I would honestly like really consider getting some of these things, because it will make your life a lot easier. But other than that, I mean, honestly, keep practicing, have fun, you know, don't hurt yourself, use that foot brake. You guys will be fine. But I'm about to pull up to work. Hope you guys are having a good 2025. Year's pretty early, but I'm excited for this year. I'm excited for the weather to warm up and all that. And yeah, do all the YouTube stuff, click the buttons, make the algorithm happy, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.